I was inspired to get back on and do a little video to share some tips and tricks for this auto deduction because it is the end of the year, and at the end of the year is when you need to know about this stuff. So I wanted to share and I wanted to tell you guys because I was talking with my friend Dan, and we were talking about the auto deduction and just gathering everything up for the end of the year. Taxes are going to be around the corner. You got to get all your information ready. And we're all working from home. I'm working from home. Not everyone's working from home, but a lot of people are working from home. And if you're self-employed and you use your car, you get to write off your miles, your actual deductions. And so he was saying, working from home, if I'm home and I leave to go somewhere, can I count those miles? Is that commuting miles where you can't count those? And I was like, no, you're self-employed. You can deduct it. You can deduct it all. But after looking into it, technically, you're not supposed to be able to deduct the miles from your home to your first work location. And so working from home, it's like, oh, well, my bedroom is my home and the office downstairs is my first work location. So then when I leave, that I can count that. Technically, they're not going to let you do that. So what you can do is you work from home and you drive to a coffee shop, your first work location. Then from there to wherever you go, all those miles count. All those miles count. Except for when you come home, the last work location to home is supposedly commuting miles, and you can't count those. So that's that. That is what inspired this video to give you just three little tips for your auto deduction. Tip number 1. Let's do this. Take a snapshot of your odometer. Do it. Do it now. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. This was my snapshot, January 5th, 2022. I was a little late. I forgot. But just do it as soon as you can, as soon as you remember. As you can see, my mileage was 191,697. And it's getting up there, my car. And so what did I do today? I took another snapshot. And it is 198,608. So you just take the difference. You take the difference of your first picture from the beginning of the year to your second picture at the end of the year, and then you get your total miles that you drove. Super easy. You just have to remember to do it. So remember to take a little snapshot. If you don't, you can track your miles, which I'll give you in the next little tip. So tip number 2, it turns out that the IRS changed the mileage rate in the middle of the year, and there's a different rate for the second half of the year. So from January 1st to June 30, 2022, it's 58.5 cents a mile. Then the rest of the year, July 1st to December 31st, it's 62.5 cents a mile. It changed. So that's interesting. If you use a tax software, then the tax software will just calculate that for yourself already automatically. But that means you have to know how many miles you drove January 1st to June 30, and from July 1st to 12/31st. So you have to know. You have to have those two little buckets because you're going to get two different rates. Obviously, if you drove more at the second half of the year, you're going to get a bigger deduction. So that leads me to tip number 3, track your miles. And how do you track your miles? Well, there's 3 options I have for you. Do a mile tracking app. This one's a Mile IQ. And as you can see, it's free, but you can only do 40 drives. It'll track 40 drives for you. or it can be unlimited and it's $6 a month. Obviously, it's cheaper if you do the annual, you know. But there's Mile IQ. This one I had for a while, and it works. It's fine, you know, no big deal. This other one, Tripalog, is also about the same. It's basically the same monthly. Obviously, it's cheaper if you do annual, but it's also free for the first 40 trips. But the free one, you can only track, you have to manually track it. It doesn't automatically track it. So with this Mile IQ, it's automatic. So it's like running in the background. And so if it like senses that you're driving, it'll capture it. But this one, the free one, doesn't do that. Or you could just use QuickBooks Self-Employed and have the bookkeeping and the auto tracking miles together, because this also tracks your miles. You can use QuickBooks Self-Employed to track mileage, automatic via your phone's GPS. So this one's a little more expensive. It's because it comes with everything else for tracking your other business expenses. So these are 3 little options. You could use these, or you can manually track your miles. Another good idea that I had, or that Dan had, was whenever he goes to get gas, he jots down his mileage and where he's at, what location he's at. And that's another great idea. You know, if you don't want to use an app, just do it manually. Have a log and track it manually. And I think it's a great idea to, every time you go get gas, like jot it down in a little notebook. Super simple. So those were the 3 tips that I had for you, starting off this new year at the end of 2022, beginning 2023. Hope you all have a great New Year's tonight, and I'll see you in the next video.